So again, the short link to this presentation is right here. You also have it in the chat room. If you don't know where the chat room is, on the same menu where you can mute your mic or start and stop your video, you should see the ability to go in the chat. If you don't see it on there, you probably have a button that says more, and you'll probably see chat there as well. So if you have any questions while I'm presenting, you can feel free to ask them in the chat room. This training will go to officially 2:30. But I will be available until 3. So if we go a little bit over, we'll move into that time frame. But afterwards, there'll be a free question and answer period where you can either ask in chat, or you can go ahead and unmute your mic and ask a question during that time. And I'll be happy to answer your question. So if I mute your mic while I'm presenting, it's only because it's on, and I want to make sure none of your background music or background noise comes in. So don't take it personally. Just want to make sure that if somebody comes in the room or your dog barks, it doesn't suddenly fill our training room with sounds of a happy dog. All right, still got some participants coming in here, but we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, introduction to Google Slides. My name is Steve Woods. My contact information is available for you. If you make a copy of this presentation, there is an email link right there. You can always respond to the invitation to the Zoom meeting. That came directly from me, so my email is tied right there. You can always email me and ask me a question about slides. I can always walk you through sharing your slide presentation with me, and then I could walk you through how to make a change or how to find a feature if you're looking for it. So what we're going to do today is cover a little bit about the interface, the website itself, and how it works, presentations, how to make one, and how to choose a theme for it, the different slide types and how to use them, how to add information to your slides and how to format that information, and animations and transitions. We'll talk about those as well and what they are, how to share your presentation, and then lastly, I'm also going to talk about a feature that Google Slides has called the Q&A mode and how that works. And then if we can, we'll do a little live demonstration of that as well. So that said, I'm going to back out of here. At the end of the presentation, if you want this quick link again, you'll see it in the chat window, or you can have me repost it. When I send the recording out to each and every one of you of this session, you'll have that short link right there as well. You can just copy it, put it in the drive, and then jump in the slides. So what I'm going to do first and foremost is I'm going to move over to slides. I'm sorry, into Drive. And Drive is your main office area where you can upload and store files, or you can create different forms of Google documents. In Drive, under the new window, here's where you can make folders. Here's where you can upload a single file. And here's where you can upload a folder filled with subfolders and other files. So you can use these guys right here as a method of storing anything you've got, including PowerPoint files or any other form of a Microsoft Office product or images. It doesn't really matter what the format of the file is. It will store it for you. And then down below are the Google Office Suite products. Google Docs, think Microsoft Word. Google Sheets, think Excel. And Google Slides, of course, think PowerPoint. There's also more. There's Google Forms, which will allow you to make surveys, questionnaires, quizzes, and so forth. Google Drawings allows you to draw both freehand and using shapes, logos, graphics, anything you'd like. So what I'm going to do first and foremost here is I'm going to go ahead and go to Google Slides. Now there's a little drop-down menu right here where you can further go in saying, you know, I'd like to do a blank presentation, or I'd like to use a template. And a template's just going to be just like PowerPoint. There's going to be some predefined presentations that you could rip apart, throw away what you don't want, change it up. But what we're going to do is do this straight from a blank presentation. So I can click on that arrow and go here, or I can just simply click on Google Slides. We'll give that a moment to load up. And as this loads, you might notice this looks a little bit like PowerPoint. Google has done its best to try to mimic and draw from your understanding of and experience with Microsoft Office products. And so this should look something like the very simple, let's say, Office 2000 version of PowerPoint. It doesn't have that really big ribbon bar that you see usually in Microsoft PowerPoint, but the vast majority of features most people use will be here for you, and we'll go through the menus and so forth. So let's talk a little bit about the interface and what you see here. At the very top, it says Untitled Presentation. I can click in here and rename anytime. Then you've got your menu bar. You'll notice File, Edit, View, Insert, Format. Slide, Arrange, and Tools are in the exact same order as the old Office 2000. Below that, you have a menu bar that will change based upon what you're working on. So depending on what you click, you'll see different things here. On the left, you'll see a visual representation of the slide you're on, and it will be in this light manila color right here to let you know what slide you're on. You will have your workspace right here, and that's reflected in the thumbnail to the left. Down below, you have click to add speaker notes. And this area, using this little bar right here, when you put your cursor over the middle of it, where these little gray 3 dots are, it becomes a little hand, and you can click and drag this up, and you can type your speaker notes in here. I believe if you use Google Chrome, I'm in a Safari browser right now, but if you use the Google Chrome browser, you actually can click in there and you can use the microphone on your computer to speak your notes, and it will type them in there for you, which is a pretty cool feature. Once you've got your notes in there, you can drag this back down again to get some of your real estate back. Over here on the lower left, this represents the layout you see. Next to it is this form of a grid pattern, and if I click it, this will just show you all of your slides in the grid format. I prefer to use this format right here, which is the default. Over on the right-hand side, right off the bat, it knows that you're probably going to want a theme to make your presentation look pretty. So that's been loaded for you right away. If you prefer not to add a theme immediately, there's a little X right here, and you can close that window. And then later on, you can go to the menu, and right here is where theme is, and you can go ahead and click it. It will open up this column again, and then you can choose themes. So if I click on any of these themes, it will give me a representation of what that theme looks like. And I can click through and see what the other ones look like. And you'll see it changes as we go. So what I think I'll do is I'll go ahead and use this theme right here called Beach Day. And what I'm going to do after I'm done is I'm going to X out right here. I don't need this window anymore. If you get theme remorse, if later on you decide, you know, I don't like this theme after all, again, you can click anytime you want right here on the menu bar, and then choose a different theme. It'll change up, and then you can simply X out. Now, everything you do in any Google product gets saved automatically. So right here where my cursor is, it says every change you make is automatically saved in Drive. And about every 3 or 4 seconds, it will auto-save for you. Usually, if you lose power in your house, you will lose very little work. Maybe an image has been just added, maybe some text, a few words have just been typed. If you lose power and your computer shuts off, you're not going to lose much because it auto-saves right up to the cloud. You can just, once power comes back, log in the Drive, go right back to the presentation, and probably everything you've done is still there. You will not see under File a save, because this autosave is in full effect for you. So the first thing we're going to do is work on this first slide. Now, by default, this is a title slide. So it says click to add title, and just like in PowerPoint, I just follow the directions. And I'm going to put in right here volcanoes. And then below it says click to add subtitle. So I'm just going to put in a fictitious room number. I'll put Mr. Woods, room 203. And I'm going to put in Sunny Slope Elementary School. Now you'll notice, just like in PowerPoint, that sometimes your text can run farther than the default size of the text box given to you. Your text box is delineated by the blue lines. There are little resizes right here. So I can actually click on these corners and I can resize this box to make it fit. And I can even drag in the middle if I don't think I want to have all that extra text box. It doesn't matter how big the text box is. If it's way bigger than you need, it won't matter. When you actually present, the text box, of course, will not be shown. Additionally, when you click on any text, you'll see the entire text box gets selected. So again, you can resize here or use these middle ones. or this little dot right here on top, just like with PowerPoint. If you click, you can actually tilt any object that you select. So I'm going to go ahead and go over here to my undo button and put it back straight again. And then I'm going to click away. You'll notice on the left-hand side, the representation of the slide I'm on now says in tiny print exactly what you see here. Down here, of course, I can put in my speaker notes. Make sure to introduce yourself. And then I'm done. So you'll notice that it still says up here Untitled Presentation. Now, after I add my title, this won't change automatically. But when I'm ready to add a title, if I have a title slide with content in it, when I go over here and click, it automatically will take the title from my slide. Now, maybe you don't want it to say that. You can change that afterwards. So I can go over here and go Volcano Presentation. And because this is the title, it's not going to change what's on here. This is just the name of the file, and this is the title. But it will steal it, and you can change it. If you have title or file name remorse, you can go back here at any time, click again, it changes this up as many times as you want. I made this directly in Drive, not in any subfolders, so it tells me right here that this is in Drive, just to let me know where this file is going to land when it's all done. All right, let's go ahead and work on adding a second slide. Now, whenever you add a slide, it will add after the slide you're in. So just be cognizant of that. Because I'm in slide 1 and it's highlighted, I know that my next slide is going to be slide 2. I can click right here and there's a little plus sign that says new slide. But if I do that, I'm basically allowing slides to determine what type of slide is going to be next. And maybe it will be the type of slide I want. But if I want to get around that and choose it myself, there is a little black drop-down menu right here. So this says new slide, but this one says new slide with layout. If I click it, I get the choice of what the next slide is going to look like. Here's my title slide, a section header. If you have a really long presentation, you can break it up by different sections. Title and body, title in 2 columns. You usually will see the title and body, and then the title in 2 columns in most PowerPoint type presentations. Then you've got title only. This is a great place to add an image or a video. One title column text, this one where you can put a quote or something and then a big image right here. Main point, this is great for just addressing a main point and then following through with a couple of slides. Section title and description. Caption, again, this is sort of like title only, but they put it on the bottom for the text. A big number, maybe you've got this really big number you want to present to everybody. You can put that on that slide, format it out. It's kind of a unique slide, but I guess it's popular with some people. And then blank, where you totally build from scratch what it's going to look like. Now, because I'm using this particular theme, you'll see these color schemes and you'll see the various fonts and font sizes. If I change over to a different theme, some of these will be different and they'll have a different font and different font sizes. So for my next slide, again, I'm just going to go, I'll make sure I'm on 1. Hit this drop down, I'm going to choose title and body. This is usually where you put in something along the lines of what we'll learn today, or a student will be able to, or student will know, or the main topics that you want to cover, you're introducing them here. So because mine's about volcanoes, I'm just going to add a couple of bullets here. And because I want them to be bullets, I want them to be interesting. I don't want my students to read everything on this slide and think they don't have to listen to me anymore. So I want to keep them short and sweet, and I want to make sure that I keep their interest. So I'm going to say volcanoes grow and grow. Dirt gets pushed up and away. Gases and lava spew forth. Then I'm going to put plants die and have to move. Animals follow the plants. People follow both. Volcanoes go to sleep. So I'm keeping this really short and sweet because basically my students are going to look at this and go, what does he mean by that? And of course, every kid under the age of 28 is going to go spew, and that's gross. But this will allow them to kind of read a little bit and kind of get the gist. But at the same token, I don't want them to read everything on here. So the next thing I want to show you is how to make bullets come in one by one. Because if you have all this text come on at once, then basically you're waiting for your students to look over your shoulder, read all this text, and you will have a percentage of individuals in your presentation who will go, okay, I know everything I need to know. I've read everything here. Time to pull out my cell phone and do a little texting. So you keep them short, keep them interesting, and now the next thing we're going to do is animate that text so it comes in one by one. I can do this on any slide. In order to animate text, what you want to do is you want to click anywhere where the text is located. It doesn't matter where. You don't have to click and drag and highlight all the text. Just be in that window. When I do that, I can go up here to Insert. And about 2/3 of the way down, you're going to see Animation. And when I click that, the right-hand column will appear again, but this time instead of for themes, it's going to be for animation. Now right here it says Object Animations, and you'll notice that in little tiny letters it says VOLC. Well, those are the first 4 letters. If this were an image, it would show me a tiny representation of the image. This is letting me know that this right here pertains to this. And it will offer up an animation, fade in on click. I'm going to click where it says fade in, and you'll see that you've got appear, fade in, fly in from left, right, bottom, or top. You've got a zoom in and a spin. The rest of them are animate out. And if you want an animation to occur after you're done with a particular amount of text or an object, you can actually have things disappear after they appear. I don't tend to do that. I tend to just use the ends so that the stuff comes in one by one. I don't want my text to disappear after I move on to the next bullet because I still want all the bullets available once they're all in there for anyone to read. So I tend to ignore those. Fade in is a great one. Just the text will, or each paragraph of the text will come in and fade in pretty quickly. Fly in is not too bad. Zoom in and spin, I would give you this advice. Don't be that guy. Most students will get annoyed with you, and most people in a presentation will get annoyed to you. If you've watched a lot of PowerPoint presentations going way back, if you recall the typewriter animation effect, where every time a bullet came in, it would make that typewriter sound, that was kind of interesting, the first bullet, the second bullet. By the time you're on slide 14, and every bit of text is coming in with that typewriter sound clicking away, you kind of want to get up and leave. Don't be that guy. Make your animations simple and don't change them up. Keep them consistent throughout your presentation. So I'm going to leave it on fade in. This is fine for me. I want it to be on click, okay? Because I want to be able to click and have the next bullet come in. Now, the one thing that is not offered up by default is this right here, by paragraph. Even though these are short and sweet, because I hit enter to go to the next one, these are short paragraphs, each of them. I want this to come in by paragraph so that when I click, each of these fades in one by one with each click. If I don't check that box, all of this text will come in at once, which totally defeats the purpose of having that text come in bullet by bullet. So I want that checked. If when I'm presenting or testing it, I notice it's coming in too fast or too slow, there's a little slider right here where you can go back and you can change how quickly or how slowly each of those bullets comes in. So if I want to see this in action, right down below here it says play. So I'm going to click that. You'll see that the title comes in automatically. I did not animate the title. And if I click anywhere on the screen, there is my first fade in on click. Volcanoes grow and grow. I click again. Here is my next one and my next one, and I'm just clicking for each of these. This way I can talk about each for as long as I feel I need to, and no one is reading ahead. I give them a moment to read that short bullet. If it's kind of funny or it's a play on words, I'll give them a moment to process it. Bump elbows with the person next to them, whatever. And then I click, talk about the next one, click and talk about the next one. But I control how that information comes in, and no one is reading ahead of me. Keep them short, keep them interesting. So if this is good to go, I'm going to close this column right here, and then back to my editor. Now, one of the things I want to point out, whenever you animate a slide, on the left-hand side, you'll see these dots with motion. This will let you know that this slide has animation on it, okay? So it's just telling you that. If I click on this, it doesn't change anything. It's just giving you an indication what to expect when you're presenting that, oh, by the way, there's going to be some animation. So I'm going to click on this text one more time, and I'm going to go over here to the middle of this text box and just resize it. I don't need that extra space. I'm going to preserve this area to insert an image. So I'm just going to click in here, and I'm going to go over here to Insert and Image. So the next thing you usually see is a couple of slides, text, and an image. So that's why I'm going through what you would usually see. So under Insert Image, you'll notice you have 6 different ways to add an image. If you have an image on your computer somewhere, you can upload it right here. If you want, you can search the web, which is what we'll do in a moment. If you've got images stored in Drive, in a folder or something, you can go digging through your Drive folders, and you can go ahead and add that image from any Drive folder. Photos will leverage Google Photos. Now, if you're using your corporate account, you know, Tulare County Office of Ed or your school district has given you a Google account that you're using, more than likely you're not storing photos in there. But if you're using a Google account that is your personal one, you may have that tied to your cell phone. If you have an Android phone, you have Google Photos automatically, and it's backing up every picture you ever take privately for you. Otherwise, if you're using an iPhone, here's a recommendation to you. You can install the free Google Photos app on your iPhone and log in with a personal Google account. Go through initial settings and tell it to only upload photos and videos when you're connected to Wi-Fi. So if you've got a limited data plan, it doesn't affect it. And if you want to save space on your phone, you can actually tell it to remove the photos and videos from your phone after it's uploaded them all to Google Photos. You will still be able to access every photo and every video through the app on your phone. But you may wind up saving gigabytes of space on your phone. So if you've ever had a problem with updating your phone's operating system because you didn't have enough memory because of all of your photos and videos, using Google Photos will allow you to remove them physically from your phone and give you all this nice space back to run updates and other things. If you do that, and you're logged in with your personal account in Google on your computer, you'll actually be able to go into Google Photos, find a photo, and bring it right into your presentation. By URL. If you're doing by URL, you need to know the exact address of the image, all the way down to the file name, the .png, .gif, or .jpg, for instance. If you know it, you can copy it, paste it in, and it will add that image, and you can put it into your presentation. Camera is great if what would contribute to your presentation is a selfie. Because if you're looking at your computer right now and it has a camera, it's facing you. So if you use the camera on your computer, you're taking a photo of your face. Now, maybe you're thinking, yes, my face would actually lend quite a bit of value to my presentation, in which case, go for it. But if you're using a tablet or you're creating a Google Slide presentation on a cell phone, you have that back camera. So you can use this, swap the camera to the back, take a photo of something, and bring it right into your presentation. Now, out of all of these, I like this one right here, Search the Web. So I'm going to click there, and once again on the right-hand side, I get a column here. And there's a blinking cursor that says Search for Images. If I go to images.google.com, and I look for volcano images, I'm going to find that there are probably something like 123 million photos of volcanoes on Google. Now, they are going to have varying levels of copyright permissions, which means that if I use something that has a copyright permission or copyright and there's no permission for me to reuse it without permission, if I add that image in here and then publicly publish this presentation, I could run into trouble with the person who owns the copyright. Now, if you're using this presentation in the 4 walls of your classroom only, You're never going to publish it online. You're using it for educational purposes. By fair use law, you can, even if it's a copyrighted image, as long as it's within the four walls of your classroom and you're only using it for educational purposes. Where you run into trouble is if you actually make this publicly available, then the copyright owner could come after you. What's nice though about using insert image search the web though, is this image search on Google looks for images that whoever put it on Google says that it has the loosest copyright restrictions. They're basically saying that you can edit this image, you can recolor it, you can crop it, you can print it, you could put it on a coffee mug, and you might even be able to sell the coffee mug. So what we're going to do right here is type in volcano and hit enter. And here we go. There is not going to be 60 million images, but you're going to find a lot of really great images in here. And again, they have been identified by whoever put them online as having extremely loose copyright restrictions. So I'm going to use this one right here. I'll click and I get an insert down here. I'm going to click that and Google's going to go in and put it in here. Now, if it's huge, it may cover the entire slide. You can move it by just clicking in the middle and move it. Look for the corners and you can resize the corners. When you resize an image on slides using the corners, it resizes proportionately. So I can click up, it doesn't matter, it's still resizing proportionately. If I use any of these resize boxes in the centers, it will resize not proportionately and it'll look bad. So I'm going to undo, bring this back. And so what I'm going to do is move this over here and then I'm going to resize it here. Here we go. So I'll drag in the middle to bring it down a little bit. So I've got this image in here right now. Now, if you have an image that has more than what you need, even though you pulled it off of Google and you're on the web, you're not stuck with it. There are actually built-in editors for images in Google Slides. So if you see this menu bar right here, when I'm in text, you'll have a whole bunch of stuff in here, including text size, font, and so forth. But when I'm on an image, it's shorter. And it gives me a bunch of stuff I need for images, including this guy right here, crop an image. If I click it, on top of the resize boxes, I get these little white or black boxes right here that I can click and drag. And I can actually crop this image by dragging that. If I click away, it'll crop the image. And then I can resize it even bigger into the space. On top of just the regular crop box, there's a drop-down menu. And this one allows you to actually crop using shapes. So if I wanted to make a circular crop, not this boxy crop, I can go to shapes and I can choose this circle. And you'll notice that now it's cropped in the shape of a circle. And I can move this around. I can resize it. If I click away, I have this really nice circular crop. If I click it again, you'll see that you not only have shapes, you can crop in the shape of an arrow, different types of call-out boxes, including banners and scrolls and thought clouds and equations. You can even do some equation characters in here too. So on top of that, again, with the image selected, I have this guy right here, which is to reset the image. If you decide, no, I don't want all this fancy stuff, you can click and it will reset it. You can also replace an image. So if you brought an image in and you decide, yeah, I don't want that image after all, you can actually click here and say, I want to search the web and find a different volcano image. So if I go through here and say, you know what, I like this one better. You can click, hit replace, and it will replace the image and still leave all of the cropping that you put in place, the size it is. It won't add a different size. It will resize it to fit in exactly the space you had the original, so you don't have to waste your time resizing and moving the new image around, okay? Click it one more time. There are additional format options. These will show up, of course, in the right-hand column. Size and rotation. You can manually adjust the width and height, the scale. You can lock aspect ratio. So if you change one, the other one will adjust accordingly. So it always looks right. You can tilt it, flip it horizontally and vertically. You've got position. If you want it to be on an exact X and Y coordinate, you can do that too. I've never met anyone who wanted to do that, but if you wanted to, you can. Recolor is a kind of cool one. These are all different color washes you can add. Now this is a full color image. If I wanted to have a grayscale, I can click right here and I have a grayscale image. If I want a color wash, I can choose any one of these. And let's see here, I'm gonna say no recolor, and then we'll go back and try color wash. There we go. So the reason I didn't do a recolor is because it was still stuck on black and white. So I just said no recolor to reset it, and then I can do these color washes. So again, I'll do a no recolor, and I'll try this green one. So you can do color washes if you want. I'm gonna do no recolor. Other adjustments, transparency. If you want it to be semi-transparent, you can do that. If you think it's not bright enough, it has a built-in brightener and has a built-in adjustment for contrast as well. You also have drop shadow effect. So you can actually add a drop shadow. So you'll see a little bit of a drop shadow. And if you don't like that angle, you can adjust the angle. And then you can adjust how dark that drop shadow effect is. And there's even a fancy blur on the drop shadow. And then there's a reflection. You can actually add a reflection on the bottom. It's just a stylistic tool, but if you want to use it, it's there for you. So all kinds of cool stuff you can do with images that you pull off the web, personalize them, make them look the way you want, and come up with some pretty cool things. All this in just 2 slides. Now you remember that we animated this text. We did not animate this volcano. So if I were to present this particular slide, the image will come in with that text. I only animated this portion right here, okay? In case you were wondering about that. All right, so we've added a title slide. We've added a, here's what we're gonna learn today. And I'm gonna go through and add one more slide here, and then we'll move on through some of the more menu items here. So what I'm gonna do now is create a title slide, or create a slide rather, that's going to cover this very first bullet, volcanoes grow and grow. So again, rather than hitting plus and letting the lottery pick which type of slide type, I'm gonna use this drop-down menu to pick the layout. You typically will find that in PowerPoint type presentations, they use the tool 2-column and title concept. So if I click that, here's slide 3, and you'll see it says click to add title, text, and text. Now how this differs from PowerPoint is you usually have that bundle of icons right here in the center of each text box that says, would you rather have an image or clip art or a movie or something along those lines, so that you can jump away from a text box into that kind of format content. Here you don't. You can just throw away the text box and add content. So this first one says, volcanoes grow and grow. So what I'm gonna do is click right here and say, they grow and grow and grow and grow. And I'm going to use this area here for bullets related to this, but on this area, I'd like to add another image. So I'm gonna close this column. Now to get rid of a text box, it's the same as in PowerPoint. What you do is you click on the border of a text box and then hit delete on your keyboard and it disappears. It's gotta be on the border in order to select and then hit delete. So from here, I'm just gonna say, gases push lava upward and dirt gets shoved up and over. And then I'm going to say, this repeats over and over. Soon it grows big as a mountain. So again, just short bullets in here. I'm going to do the talking when these come in. I just want to get their attention, and then I'm going to move from there. To insert another image, I can go here to insert image, but there is actually a menu item right here. It looks like this. And if I hit the drop down, here are my 6 options again. So if I go to search the web, I've got Volcano, and I'm going to say Volcano growing. Let's see if there's anything in here. So I've got this right here. Anything else? I kind of like that one. So I'm going to go back up, select this, and hit insert. Now this is a really wide image, so it's going to make it smaller. If I want, I can actually once again go to crop and move over this, and so I just keep this and then click away, and then I can move it over, use my resize boxes, and there I go. I've got this nice thing that I can use to demonstrate the push up, push up, push up, push up, and so forth. Now remember, we probably want to animate these bullets just like we did on slide 2. So again, I'm going to go to slide 3, click anywhere in this text, and go Insert, Animation. Here it says gas, gas. So I know this is the area I'm looking for. Fade in, on click, by paragraph. Make sure you check that. And if I say play, here you go. Click. I talk as much as I want. Click, 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 and so forth. I'm going to hit stop, and then I'm just going to X out this column. So I'm good to go here. From here, I would move on to Dirt Gets, I would get Dirt Gets Pushed Up and Up, and I would probably get something that would have, you know, the dirt being pushed upward. Then I've got Gases and Lava Spew Forth. I can look for a video or something. So let's do that. I'm going to skip over Dirt Gets Pushed Up and Away and move on to Gases and Lava Spew Forth. So on my next slide, I'm going to go ahead and make a mistake on purpose so you can see how that gets fixed, and I'm going to show you how to insert a video. I should be on 3 when I add my next slide. I'm going to pretend I messed up, and I'm on 2, and I'm going to click to add another slide. Title in 2 columns? No, let's try title only. Now, at this point, I may realize, oops, this was supposed to be after 4. Just like in PowerPoint, on this area here, you can click and drag your slides into whatever order you want. So from here, I needed to say Gases and Lava Spew Forth. So I'm going to say Gases and Lava Spew Forth. To insert an image, or I'm sorry, to insert a video, I'm going to go to Insert. You'll see Video right here. This one has YouTube built in. And if you know the exact address of a YouTube video, you can do it by URL. Or if you have a Drive folder that has videos in it, and these can be videos that you captured on your cell phone. If you put them in Drive, Drive will process them so it can view, you know, actually have people view them. And then you can go through and insert video in Drive, go find that video, and you can embed a video you took. But instead, I'm going to use YouTube. And I'm going to put in volcano erupting. So here we go. Top 5 volcano eruptions. Here's Volcanoes 101 on National Geographic. Here's Papua New Guinea. Let's see here. Krakatoa. So here's one in Mexico, ABC News. So I'm going to click it. And I'm going to choose Select. So what it will do is add that video onto my slide. And of course, I could resize it if I want to, or I could move this around, put it in the middle of this page. Or if I want, I can move this over. And if I wanted to, you know, if I decide I want to add a text box, I want to direct their attention to certain things in the video, you can add a text box here. Insert text box, or right here on our menu, text box, and then I can drag. And you can say things to think about. How long was the eruption? How often does this volcano erupt? What happens each time it erupts? And of course, these questions would be based on what I see in the video and I want to direct their attention to. Because this is text, this menu encompasses text. I'm going to close this window and do a little formatting real quick for you. Things to think about. I'm going to highlight that, make it bold, bump up the size a little bit right here, and then I'm going to change the color. I'm not going to animate this because I want this all to be here while they watch the video, but I will highlight this and choose to make it italicized, and I will change this color to, let's say, this purplish. Now, if you're wondering about the video, it's YouTube. If I click, it's going to play right here. All right. Let's see. So we've added text. We've added an image, did some cropping. We added an image again, some text and animated, and we brought in a video. Usually at this point, you're looking at lather, rinse, and repeat. You're going up here and you're looking at your next topic. You're adding your next slide or slides, and you're using bullets to bring out what you want to talk about. You, of course, will be the one who does most of the talking. You don't want to have all your text on your slide, because if you do, nobody likes a person who puts a bunch of text on a PowerPoint slide and then makes you all wait while they read the text, because you're looking at the slide and you can read the text for yourself. What people want is imagery, graphics, something that will pull on their emotional heartstrings, make them feel something that you want them to feel. You be the one who talks. Give them a moment to look at that impactful image. There is nothing wrong with having a slide that looks like this. And what I will do is crop this, bring it down a little bit. Oops, gotta make sure you click on the right thing to crop it. Bring this up a little bit. And what I'll do is fill the whole slide with this image. There is nothing wrong with presenting and coming to a slide that just has an image. Give a moment for your students or participants to go, whoa, that looks like a nuclear explosion. Talk to each other, whisper to each other. And after about 10 or 15 seconds, you begin to talk. There's no text on the slide. If you need to, you can do your speaker notes to remind you what to say. But just the power of the image. They're listening to you while they're looking at the image. You can do all of that right here in slides. You can use that same technique in PowerPoint. Some of the best presentations have very little text. You're doing all the talking. You're giving them powerful images to just go, whoa, to. So I'm going to use my back button here, back out of this again, and even to remove the slide. But again, you just do a lather, rinse, repeat. Adding slides until you've covered all the topics on here. And then of course, you probably add a slide that says, do you have any questions? That's our content pieces. The next thing I want to talk about is what happens when you go from slide 1 to slide 2 to slide 3. What happens in between those slides? That's known as a transition. An animation is when you have something come in bit by bit using animated tools. A transition is between slides. That's located right here on our toolbar. Again, on the right-hand side, it's going to open up, and it actually shares the top area where you do animations. But you'll see it says slide transition, none. There's a none drop down right here. So currently, by default, All slide presentations do not have any form of transitions built in yet. You're going to add them if you want. So you'll see in that dropdown you have dissolve, fade, slide from right or left, flip, cube, or gallery. All of these are fine. None of these are too far out there. None of these are annoying. But whatever you pick, use it on all of your slides. Don't try to add a different transition between different slides because you'll just be annoying and you don't want to be that guy. What happens is people pay more attention to those bells and whistles than you. So what I'm going to do is show you a nice one here called Cube. And what I want to do is apply it to all slides. When you're presenting, if you think it's too slow or too fast, again, you have a little speed right here that you can adjust. I'm going to apply it to all slides. And what I'm going to do instead of hitting play here is I'm going to show you what this presentation would look like. So I'm going to close this. I'm on slide 1 and I have present right here. I'm going to click it. Here is my presentation. I would introduce myself. My notes reminded me to do so. And then I'll click. That's the cube transition you just saw. I click through my animations. I talk about each of these animations, each bullet as they come up. And when I'm done, the next click will once again give that cube transition. And then again, I'm clicking through my bullets, talking as I go, pointing out items on the image. Cube transition, and I'm right there in the YouTube, and then I can play YouTube. Okay, when you're done, you can hit escape, and you're back into your editor right there. Okay. Let's talk about things on the menu here, because at this point, I've given you enough. If you've never made a presentation before, I've given you enough to be dangerous. Let's talk about some of the other things, and you'll notice that I now have animations on all of these. And the reason why is because I've added a transition, which is a form of an animation to every slide. So now you see that animation tool right here. Let's talk about our drop downs. Under File, you can share your presentation right here. And we'll talk a little bit about that. It's going to be the same sharing tools that you see in Google Docs, if you played with Docs. Here I can open up a new presentation, or I can open up a new document or spreadsheet or a form right from here. This is to create. This one is to open an existing. I can import slides right here as well. So if I click here, it will show me all presentations I have in Drive. And I can actually go in to another presentation and say select. And we'll give that a moment. And what's cool about this is I actually went in and said I want to import slides from a PowerPoint that I have sitting in Drive. This isn't even a Google slide presentation. It's an uploaded PowerPoint. But if I want, I can click and add this slide, this one, and this one. I can keep the original theme that came with those slides, or I can say, nah, throw that away. I want to use the theme I picked. And I say import slides. It strips out the theme and just gives me the content from those slides. So I'm going to go back because I really don't want to do that. That's right here under import slides. You can use this with PowerPoint you've uploaded and stored in Drive or other Google Slides. You can bring in slides from those presentations and use those in your existing presentation. You can make a copy right here. Anytime that you are at a presentation and they're using Google Slides and they give you a short link to that presentation, log in the Drive, visit the short link, and you can go to File, make a copy, and have a copy of your own. You can download. If you go through slides and you make this magnificent presentation, but ultimately at the end, you want this to be a PowerPoint, you can download it as a PowerPoint, and it will download the theme, the transitions if it can, and the animations. The transitions are dicey because PowerPoint might not have that transition. But if they do, they'll mimic it. If not, you can just change the transition in PowerPoint to something else. You can download it as a JPEG. The only thing that doesn't work great about this is that you can only do one slide at a time, which is a pain. So I would recommend that you download as a PowerPoint. If you want all the slides as images, download as a PowerPoint, open it up in PowerPoint, go File, Save As, and you can choose images. You'll have an image of every slide. You can also download this as a PDF if you want to give that to somebody and you don't know whether or not they have the internet, whether or not they'll have PowerPoint. You can download as a PDF. They should be able to open it. You can email it right from here as an attachment. If you've got version history, if you've used version history or seen that in Docs, you'll know how this works. If I go to version history and say version history, again, right-hand column, there's a little arrow right here. And if I click it and expand, this shows me every change I've made on this presentation. And if you look on the left-hand side, you can see those changes as I go. This is every revision ever made to this presentation. And this doesn't disappear. If I save and close this, I can go all the way back to when this was an empty presentation. At any point on any of these revisions, I can click it, and if I want to go back to that version, on the upper left is a big orange button that says restore this version, and it will put it back to that version. I don't want to do that though, so I'm just going to hit this back arrow. This is great for when students work together in a presentation, maybe a team of 3 or 4, and they're working together, and somebody comes and says, Susan just deleted like 8 of our slides, and everyone's ready to just throw Susan to the wolves. You can say, never mind, no worries, let's go over to your presentation. You can go File, Revision History, and restore it back to the point before Susan deleted those slides. Everyone's happy, and they can go right back to working again. So it's a great saver. You can rename your presentation here, but why do that when you can just click right here? You can move it out of Drive to a different folder. You can throw it away right here if you want. You can publish it to the web. If this is a presentation that you want to embed in a website or on a blog page, you do have to publish it to the web first. And when you do, you will get embed code that lets you copy and paste and embed it onto a web page if you want. That's a little bit more intermediate. Document details are right here. It just tells you who owns it, where it's located, when it was created, and when was the last time it was modified, and by whom. You've got language. Do not get this confused with translation of the document. All this is the place where you can say, the person who is creating this speaks this language. It's not translating the actual presentation. So leave that on English. Don't change anything up there. Page setup. Widescreen. Standard 4:3. This could be a regular older LCD projector. Wide screens here for if you were going to put it on an LCD TV, HD TV in front of the classroom. You want to make sure it's in a widescreen format. You've also got custom. This one is one that a lot of teachers don't know about. When you create your first presentation, what I'll do real quick is show you this in a new presentation. I'm going to go new one more time so you can see this power of this tool on a blank presentation real quick before I add any content. I'm going to close this, File, Page Setup, and I'm going to go here to Custom. This one allows you to say, you know what, I want this to be 11 inches wide, but I want this to be 24 inches high. Now you have this really big working surface, and you can actually make an infographic. You can add images and text. You can zoom in if you want to see it bigger. There's a zoom tool right here, and so I can zoom in. And I can build a beautiful infographic that explains like all of the biomes or the 7 continents or you know, animals in particular species. And because it's 10 inches by 24 inches, there's a lot of space to add graphics. I could send this to a printer and print out a nice banner poster, or I could leave it online as this giant image that people can zoom in and look around on. But you can, yes, you can create infographics. If I had gone wider and not so tall, I can build a giant banner 12 inches high by 4 feet wide and put a giant text and backgrounds on it. So beyond slides, you have the ability through page setup to make something really big and really powerful that looks nothing like a PowerPoint. Print preview, print settings and preview. Here's the thing. If you go file and print, what happens is it creates a PDF and downloads the PDF. That's it. But if you go to file and you go print settings and preview, you get more options. So this one says one slide without notes. How about this one? Handout, 3 slides per page. And here are my notes. Well, what if I don't want them in landscape? I can go in portrait mode. Does that look familiar? Everyone who's ever attended a PowerPoint back in the 90s or in the early 2000s probably got this as a handout. It had every slide with a couple of lines where you could write in notes. You can do handouts, 3 slides per page in portrait mode right here. And you can download that as a PDF or send it straight to the printer, print that out and give that as handouts if you want. If you want to hide the background, it will remove any background that might be in there. You can include any skip slides. Yes, you can actually skip slides in a presentation if you don't think you'll need them, but include them in the notes. I'll go ahead and put the background back. So it just strips out the theme when you say that. You can do a handout up to 9 slides per page. I don't have 9 slides on my presentation. I've only got 4, but you can see that you could fit a bunch of different slides on here. You can go all the way down to 1 slide with notes. So this would be a bit of a handout for yourself. Here's the slide, and here are your notes. And then you just go through each slide. If you have notes, they'll appear right here. I'm going to close that preview. Let's see. Okay, we covered everything there. Edit just has a few little items here. Undo, redo, cut, copy, paste, delete, duplicate, find and replace. Yes, you can do a find and replace throughout your document. View, here's present. You also have a button here. You can see what the animations look like. The master, if you've ever played with the master file in Microsoft Office, you know that this is a dangerous place because you can mess up your document. In Word or PowerPoint, if you adjust the master slide, what happens is that's the slide every other slide is built off of. So if you choose to edit the master slide, just know you're going to have to fix it again later if you open up and create a new presentation and it follows all the formatting of the master slides. I wouldn't mess with it unless you know what you're doing. A grid view, this allows you to see everything in a grid view. It's similar to right down here on the bottom left corner. I'll get rid of that. Can you add voice to slides? Yes, when we get to insert, you're going to see something along those lines. You can add guides. So this will add a couple of different guides, but you can right click on any of these rulers and add additional guides. And these are movable. You can place them wherever you want. And these will be something that will allow you to align content on the page if you want. And then when you're done, you can go back to guides, and then you can just clear the guides when you're done. You can zoom right here, or you can use that little zoom menu right here. And you can, if you do guides, you can actually snap the content to those guides. Speaker notes is being shown. If you don't want to see it, just uncheck it. It disappears. Under insert, we covered images and text boxes, but you can also insert audio. So if I wanted to insert audio on this page, I can click right here. And what you have to do, the question came in about, can you add voice to slides? You need to add the audio file to Drive. So if you wanted to, let's think of it this way. If you were a teacher creating a presentation and you want your students to be able to see and click through this presentation on their own without you being there, but you want to say stuff. Yes, you could cram this full of all kinds of text, or you can go to a slide, you can open up slide 1, and then grab your cell phone and use voice memo and record what you would say on that first slide. When you hit stop, it's going to give you a file that you can then share via email to yourself. You can download it off of email, put it in Drive, go to slide 2, and do the same thing. What would you say on this slide? Hit stop. If you want, you can rename it slide 2, the file. Go to slide 3 using voice memo. Start a new voice memo saying what you want to say here as you're clicking through. And then save it, call it slide 3, email them to yourself, download and put them in Drive. So then you can go to each slide and go insert audio, dig through Drive where you've got those files and put in slide 1 file. And it will add a little speaker right here on the page that you can put anywhere you want. You can drop it in the bottom right for every page. And then the students can be told, click here. You can even put an arrow with a box that says click here on each slide to listen to me speak. And then they can go to present, click on it, and it'll say everything you would have said on that slide. And then if you want, you can even put a little blurb at the end of each of your little voice memos that says, move on to next slide, and do that for each. They click to the next slide, there will be that handy dandy speaker icon. They can click, they'll hear you speak. And of course, at the end of what you say, you're going to say, now move on to the next slide. And so, yes, you can add voice. You can add any kind of sound if you can capture it. If you go online and download an MP3 file, you can download it and then put it in Drive and then insert audio from Drive. Here's the thing that makes it a little bit different than PowerPoint. In PowerPoint, you can insert music, and the music will play even as you move through the slides. In Google Slides, you can't. If you insert a music file on slide 1, when you move on to slide 2, it's going to stop. Just note that. We covered inserting video. Here are shapes again. You can insert all kinds of shapes, all kinds of arrows. So here is a little arrow. I click and drag, and it's an arrow with a text box. Again, that dot allows you to tilt, and then I can resize it. And they give you these little yellow dots to actually adjust the shape of the shape. So this, for instance, allows you to make this area bigger or smaller, the neck of the arrow more narrow, the width of the arrowhead, and so forth, how deep the arrow goes. And then in here, you can double click and type in text. Now, of course, this is sideways because I decided to tilt it. But I could do this, resize the whole thing, and I can move it to point wherever I want. And of course, those can be animated too. Any object can be animated. I'm going to click it and delete it. So all kinds of shapes in here. Call outs, because you can do voice bubbles over a picture of a face, equation pieces, and so forth. You can also insert tables, how many columns, how many rows, and you can put borders and shading. Charts. You can embed charts in here. If you pick any of these first 4, it's going to embed a chart that ties to a hidden spreadsheet. You can change the data in the spreadsheet. It will change the pie chart. So I'll give you a quick for instance. And remember, you're going to get a recording of this whole presentation so you can watch me and pause it later on. I'm going to insert another slide. And I'm just going to put right here, volcanoes erupting per continent. And so I can go right here and go insert chart and choose a pie chart. It's going to give me this pat generic chart. But over here, there's a drop down, and you can open the hidden source of data that made that chart for you. This will open up a super secret chart and Excel looking spreadsheet that created that chart. Here's the chart. And here's the data. So I'm going to click right here. Let's see if I can't move this chart over. It might not let me. Nope, it won't let me. Okay, so I'll leave it. So I'm just going to put in here North America. South America, Europe, Africa, and so forth. I'll put in Asia. And I'm going to say that percentage of volcanoes, I'm going to put that there are 3,567 volcanoes in North America. There are 12,899 volcanoes or eruptions. And I'm going to say in Europe, there are 33,344, and that Africa has 45,623. In Asia, 55,788. These numbers are not correct. Please don't back me up on these numbers. All right, so I've added all that data. And if I go over here, let's see. I should be able to go back to my slide and hit update. And there we go. This is still open in another slide. I'm going to close it, or another tab. But anytime I want, I can go back here and open up the source and change the data. This is hidden and it's tied. So if I go up here and this is now changed, I go, oops, you know what, that was supposed to be 35,000. It's reconnecting right now. Once it connects, I can go in here and change the data, and then I can update again. So I'll give that a moment, see if it reconnects for us. I'll refresh my page. There we go. So I go, oops, that was supposed to be 35,786. I can go back here, hit update on my slide, and it updates. This hidden spreadsheet will always be tied to this chart. So know that you can do this. By the way, you can also insert charts from existing data. If you have data in a sheet, in Drive, you can go to that sheet, highlight the data, and it will create a chart that exemplifies that data for you. You can insert diagrams and then edit them from here. You can also insert word art. I'll tell you this, it's not as powerful as the word art inside of Microsoft Word. There's only a few forms of word art available for you. You can insert lines and connectors and curves, and you can even hand scribble lines in here too. And you can add arrowheads onto your lines. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do to format. Animation, of course, was here. You can add hyperlinks. So if you wanted to put per Reuters, you can highlight this and you can go insert link. It's also right here on the menu bar. And you can go and look for Reuters, or Google has a built-in search that will find it for you, and you can hit apply. And now you've got a link here to Reuters.com. So there's a nice little helper tool in here that will allow you to add hyperlinks into whatever you want. It can be an image, it can be a chart, it can be text, and so forth. You can add comments. Usually you'll do this if you share this with somebody else, and then what they can do is add comments to your document, and then you can decide if you want to take into account their comments or you can discard them. It's up to you. Format, you'll notice this is all grayed out because nothing is selected. So if I go to a slide that has text, now you'll see that this allows me, and you have to select what you want to affect. So under text, you've got bold, italic, the usual suspects you see on your edit or your menu here, but you've also got strike through, superscript, and subscript. You have alignments available to you and indentations, line spacing, double, custom spacing, and so forth. You have a variety of different numbered lists and a variety of different bulleted lists available for you. And you can strip formatting. If you have ever copied text off of a website and then pasted it onto a presentation or onto a document, and that weird formatting just makes it difficult to read, you can highlight that text and click on clear formatting. It's right here under format and at the end of this menu, and it will strip the background, the font color, any weird spacing, and just give you black text on a white background. Here's your border lines. So if you do a table, you can do borders. border colors, border weights, and so forth. Slide. You can create a new slide here, but we covered that you can also do it here. You can duplicate or delete or skip a slide, change the background. If you do that, you can change a background from white to any color, or you can have a background be an image on a slide if you want as well. Okay, everyone still hear me okay? Somebody pop in chat and let me know if you can hear me all right. Okay, great. Arrange. You can order things as good. Thank you. You can order things as well. If you have a couple of different images, you can actually click on the image and go arrange order, bring it forward, bring it back, send it all the way to the back, send it all the way to the front. So you can stack things on top of each other as well. Under tools is a spell check. You've got a script editor. I wouldn't go there if I were you. It's a place where you can edit some scripts and so forth. There is a dictionary. You can add words if it continually tells you that the word is misspelled. Maybe it's a student name or the name of a place and it keeps telling you that's not the spelling, but you know it is. You can add it to your dictionary and so forth. Now, add-ons. Add-ons are kind of cool. There are a lot of really nice features built into Google Slides, all right? But if it's not enough, if you want to find out what other third parties have created that Google has approved and that you can use as additional features, you can go to add-ons. And under add-ons, you'll see right here, get add-ons. This is going to open a new window. And you can go through here and scroll and find add-ons that other individuals or companies have made that just provides additional features in slides, like musical notations. Let's see here, accents. Slide translator if you want. Let's see, another slide translate. Photos to slides, inserting icons for slides, Adobe stock images, and so forth. And you can scroll through, and you might find companies in here you've heard of, maybe Shutterstock or HaikuDeck. But you can also use this three-line menu in the upper left to find add-ons under particular categories, like most popular right here. These are the most popular ones, and this is a nice one right here, Pear Deck. Pear Deck actually allows you to add a multitude of other slide types that include interactivity for your students. If you share the presentation with them view only, the Pear Deck slides can be done in such a way that even though it's view only for your students, they can actually respond to slides by drawing, selecting A, B, C, or D, filling out a little poll and so forth. They continue to add slide types that allow interactivity from your students in Google Slides. Definitely one to look at. You can add it, and I recommend doing a YouTube tutorial or two on how to use Pear Deck. That's definitely worth your time right there. Once you've added it, you have to give it permissions, and it's things like view your slides and so forth. It needs to be able to see certain aspects of your slide to work. Once you've added it, on any presentation you make in the future, you can go to add-ons and you'll see the add-ons that you've created or added, and you can open that add-on and leverage it in that slide presentation. It's not going to force its way on you. You have to add it back in to any presentation you want to use it with. So don't worry about if you add it, is it going to interrupt all of my slides? The answer is no. So going through here, here's your usual stuff. Your undo, redo, print, paint format. If you've never used paint format, that's a cool one. If you highlight some text and you format it a certain way, and then you decide later on that, you know what, I want to use this on this slide too. You can go over to the text you formatted, click, use this paint format, and you can go to another slide, and if you highlight the text, it will actually use that formatting on that text. So instead of copying and pasting text, what it's doing, it's copying and pasting the format of that text. Let's see here, text boxes, images, shapes, lines, we covered all that. Fill color, if you have anything that has a fill, like a text box, You can use fill color, and you can add fill to that particular box. You've got border colors. This one doesn't have a border, but if you want a border color on anything that has an object in there, you can go to border color, and you can add a color and a border weight, and whether or not you want it solid or dotted or dashed, and it'll add that border for you right here. So yes, you can make your presentation as ugly or weird as you want. It's up to you. Right here it says fonts. So right now it's using this Source CO with Source Code Pro right here in the drop-down menu. If I want to, I can highlight this text and I can change it to be any of these fonts. These are the most recently used. These are additional ones, and they have flyouts for light, bold, italic, and so forth. That said, there is even more fonts right here at the top, and you can scroll through and check the ones you want to use. So Slabo, Oxygen, and Consolata. If I want to add Anton, I can click it, and then I can say OK, and now Anton is included. So just know that you're not going to find the 247 fonts that are available to you in PowerPoint, but you're going to find some pretty good fonts that are available for you to use in here. I'm just going to go backwards here. You have your font size. You can go up or down, or you can click right here, and you can manually type in. This has got an 18 point. You see that there are 6 to 96 in the presets, but you can manually type in. Like if I want this to be 17-point font, there we go. Bold, italic, underline, font color. Just like with the paint can, just like with the border colors, the font color has 64 font colors or colors available for you. These are known as web-safe colors, okay? These should render properly on any computer screen, whether it is a Chromebook, a Mac, a PC, whether you're using Safari, Chrome, or Internet Explorer or Firefox, it should render it this color. If you want to jump out of this, you can. There are theme colors they'll offer up, but you can also go to custom. And if you click, you'll get this rainbow bar that you can roughly gauge the color you want, and then click in here from light to dark. When you pick the color you want, you can say OK, and it will change it to that color. What's neat is that the next time you visit this drop down for any color, it will show you all the custom colors you created. So if I go over here to here, again, here is the custom color I created. I don't want this bright fuchsia looking pink, so I'm going to go back. You also have highlighter. You can put highlight behind text if you want. Here's your hyperlink again, comments, alignment, line spacing, and so forth. If something doesn't fit on this menu, maybe your monitor has a resolution that doesn't let you see everything on this toolbar, you will see a 3-dot menu with anything that didn't fit, okay? So don't worry if you don't see everything here. It's probably under the 3-dot menu. All right, so the last 2 things I want to cover here is sharing your presentation and presenting. So in the upper right corner is a share. And if you've never shared this, or it's in a folder that's never been shared with anyone, you'll see when you pause over it that it's private to just you. I click here, and it gives me a simple share menu. This is what 90% of all teachers typically use. They'll share a presentation with some of the other teachers on their grade level, and they'll work with them to create a shared presentation they all use to teach a lesson. Well, they'll just add in here the email addresses of teachers that are in their cohort. And when they do, they can pick what they want them to be able to do. Can they edit it? Do I just want them to comment, or do I just want them to view it? You pick that as well. So this is the who, and this is what they can do. When you're ready, you'll hit send. I'm not going to send this to them because these 2 individuals will wonder why I shared this volcano presentation with them. To go a little bit deeper and have a more global permission, what you do is you click on share, and then click right here in this little link that's called Advanced. This will show you a link to share, the fact that it's private only to you, who has access, and again, I can invite by email here. If I hit change, these are more global permissions. So again, I hit share, and then advanced, and then right here where it says private, I hit change. These are global, moving upward. Off, me only, unless I share with specific people. Moving up, anyone at my organization who I share the link with can see it, which means they need to be logged into their Google account and then click on the link to see this presentation. The next one is anyone in my organization, and they don't have to have the link. They can search Drive and they should be able to find this presentation. If they see it, they should be able to access it. These two move outside of my organization. Anyone with the link, they do not have to be signed into Google. This one's great for, I'm going to create a presentation that I want my parents to be able to access. Well, they're not going to belong to my organization. They're not going to have a TCOE account. I want them to be able to see it anyway. So if I choose this, if I send them the link via email or post a link on my webpage, they'll be able to access this presentation. This last one is public on the web. If I choose that, Google can index it into its search engine and people could look it up and find it. Anyone. They don't have to have a Google account. They can just use Google to find it, the Google search engine to find it. These are all the who's, all right, moving upward. So if I say on anyone with the link, the next is down here, and that's the what. Who and what. So anyone with the link can view. Google will try to protect you by assuming that if you're going outside of your organization, you probably just want them to be able to view. But you can say can comment, which means anyone who clicks on that link can add comments to your presentation. If I say can edit, anyone who has that link can actually edit my presentation, and I'm probably not going to want that. If I say public and I say can edit, then what I'm doing is saying anyone can find my presentation on Google and can edit it. The last thing I want. You can recover from that under file revision history, but you do not want to have this level of sharing. This is important to walk through with your students to make sure they understand that if they're just bringing in somebody from their classroom to help edit and provide comments, that they can add, you know, the student next to them called Doug, and they can say, can comment. And that way they can't edit, they can only make comments on the presentation. So make sure your students understand sharing permissions and what goes on with that. Additional features, if you add somebody as an editor, you can prevent them from allowing anybody else in to make edits. If you are making a presentation that you are showing the world, you can go right here and say disable the ability to download, print, or copy. And so they can't make a copy of your presentation because you want to make sure that only you have it. You can do that too. I'm going to hit done. So that's how you share. And it's the same sharing permissions as in Drive and Docs. The last thing I'm going to share real quick is how to present. Simple one right here. If I click present, I'll go to slide 1 and I click present. I go full screen. I can click down here and choose my slides, or I can click right here, or I can just click anywhere on the screen. There's also a built-in pointer, so you can actually move your cursor and point stuff out as you're presenting. That's down here on that menu. I'm going to click it again to get rid of it. If you want to see your notes, you can go into this view. I'll hit escape and go back again. So again, present, just click anywhere on the screen. Here are my animated bullets. Here is my cube transition, and so forth. So this is the most simple way to present. That said, the last thing I'm going to show you is this little drop down by present. If you go here, you can go to presenter view. This will open up two different things. Here is your notes. and then behind it is your presentation. So what I recommend you do if you want to present in Google Slides and you want to see your notes and see presenter view, take your presentation, this part here, and move it to the LCD projector or to the TV. In your displays, don't mirror them so that you can move this big presentation to the big TV or LCD and keep this one on your computer screen. You will be able to see your slides. When you choose them, they appear on the big screen. You'll see what's next, and you will see your notes right here. And you can just click on next, and it will move on the big screen, and you'll see this on your little screen. But what's really cool, if you go this route, is this right here, audience tools. This one allows you to actually allow your audience to ask questions while you're presenting in the presentation. So again, all I did was go, I'm gonna hit escape. I go present, but I use the drop down next to it and presenter view. This stays on my screen. And what I do is click right here on audience tools and hit start new. By default, it's going to say it only accepts questions from your organization. I'm going to click it and say anyone. It's going to say, are you sure? I'm going to say yes. What it does is it adds this big gray bar on the top of every single slide. And that will allow anybody who is in your audience to go with their cell phones. Okay, so you're seeing, oh, I see. You probably don't see my speaker notes. Yeah, probably because I am screen sharing just a portion of it here. So let's see, can I change my screen sharing? Let's see, I'm gonna do a stop share. And I'll try a different screen share here. Screen share, how about my desktop? Oh, here we go. All right, are you able to see that little sharing menu now? Okay, so I can't see it right now. So let's see if I can, oh, here we go. I'm gonna move it up. So this is the other screen, and this is what you'll keep on your computer screen. So I went to audience tools right here, and then I clicked here to say anyone, and I say okay. Now what this does is it adds that bar on the top of every single slide. So here's what I want you to do if you'd like. I want you, if you have a moment, if you can open up another tab in your browser, or if you have your cell phone handy, go to a browser and type in that address, slides.app.goo.gl/pv139. Some of you might go, that's way too long. I'm not even going to try typing that in my cell phone. But one of you out there may try to do it. And if you do, if you add that address into a browser, it will allow you to ask questions during the presentation. So if you're presenting in a room with 150 people, the last thing you want is 150 people potentially raising their hand and asking you a question and stopping you over and over and over again in your presentation. If you go ahead and add this, see, Elaine Barton just asked a question, and if anyone likes that question, they can thumb up on it or thumb down on it. Other people can ask questions as well, and I can see this on my screen as I'm presenting, and it allows me to just bring in your questions directly while I'm presenting. I don't have to stop. You don't have to raise your hand. I see on the left-hand side my presentation of what's next, and I see your questions as I go. And anytime I want, I can look at my screen as I'm talking and wrap in your question into my presentation or ignore it, because I know one slide later, I'm gonna answer that question. So I can scroll through here and scroll through here. And if anyone likes a question, what happens is it will raise that question up to the top, numbers of thumbs up. So before you ask a question, you can see if somebody else already asked that. So there's a new top question. So someone just thumbed up this one. So what I'm going to do right now is hit stop share on here, and I go screen share one more time and go back to my presentation. And bring that back up. All right. So does everyone see my presentation now? Okay. So again, this will be on the top of every single slide. Let's make sure that I've got that. Okay. And there we go, share. There we go. So everyone will see that on every slide while I'm presenting. When I'm done, I can close it out. It's a great tool if you ever see yourself presenting in a room full of people and you just don't want all those hands coming up. You can go to present with that drop down, add that, it'll be on the top of every slide. Just take the time to tell everyone. If you have any questions, bust out your cell phone, go to this address. It's going to be on top of every slide. Ask your question, I'll be happy to answer it as I present. Okay? All right, so I pretty much covered all of the features here in presentation, all the way from starting a slide to presenting it using that really cool Q&A. So I'm going to stop here. It's 2:39, so we went 9 minutes over, but I did wait 5 minutes to get everyone into the room. If you have a question, you can feel free to throw it in the chat and I'll answer it. Otherwise, you're free to take off. If you want me to show you real quick how to convert a PowerPoint to a Google slide presentation, I'll go ahead and cover that right now. Otherwise, if you have a question, throw it in chat. I'll stop real quick and answer it. So I'm going to go to Drive. And if you do a file upload and you bring in a PowerPoint, like this PowerPoint file right here, you can actually double click on it in Drive and it will show you a preview. And in here, I can say open with slides, and it will open up a PowerPoint in slides, and it's still going to be a PowerPoint file. So audio described photos. Someone had a question about, is there a site for audio described photos to use? Not inherently in Google. I'm not aware of one. You can search the add-ons and see if there's something in there. Otherwise, probably the best use of Google Slides for this is you could bring in an audio file in with an image on your slides, and you could do the audio description yourself, so that if anybody needs, they have a description, an audible description of the images, you could add that audio, and then underneath it, you could add a link, text link. If you go that route, I'd recommend leaving off the audio and just doing a link to the audio file and have the text say, click here to hear an audio description of the image on the slide. So you just put in text and then link it to an audio file in Drive. The text in a reader, a web browser reader, will automatically read that text. Click here to hear an audio version of the images. When they do click using their interface, it's going to open your audio file, which would then describe the images on that page. So that's the best I could probably do as a workaround for you on slides. So again, this is a PowerPoint, but if I go here to File, I can say Save it as Slides. And what will happen is it will leave the original PowerPoint in, but open this up as a Google Slides presentation. It even maintains the backgrounds and the theme, even though that theme isn't part of Google's themes. And you can go through and you can make edits on all of this stuff, the text, the images, and so forth. And if you go to Drive, on Drive, and I will refresh the screen, you have your original PowerPoint, and you will have the Google version of it too. It won't mess with the original PowerPoint. The original PowerPoint, by the way, is editable without turning it into a Google presentation. So if you make edits and then close it, it will still save it as a PowerPoint. But if you say open it with Google Slides, it'll be a native Google slide show for you to use. So just know, if you're a PowerPoint cowboy like me, you've had a whole bunch of PowerPoints over the years, you can bring them into Drive. You can open them, edit them as a native PowerPoint, leave them that way, or convert them over to slides using that procedure I just showed you. So any other questions? You can drop them in chat. If you want to pop your mic on real quick and ask me the question, feel free. I know I covered a lot, but remember this is being recorded, and either tonight or tomorrow, I will send you a link to the YouTube video of this recording, and you can start and stop at your leisure, open up Drive, open up a presentation, follow along, make a presentation using some of the techniques I've shown you, rewind anytime you want, go back to the original email where I sent you the YouTube video, and you can always ask me a question. I'm happy to answer. So if there aren't any questions, I'll go ahead and end the presentation here, and I'm going to boot you all out of my meeting. The conversation doesn't have to stop here, though. You can always feel free to ask me another question. Can you do that with Keynote? In Keynote, bringing it in, you know, I've not done Keynote in here. I would give it a try. I think natively they try to mimic and do their best to work with PowerPoint, Microsoft products. That said, if you can upload a Keynote, double click, see if you can open it, and then convert it using that menu to Docs or to Slides. If you can't, in Keynote, you can save it as a PowerPoint, then bring it in and do your conversion from there as well.